572-0383 or 572-0215. REV-UP St. Lucia, the alpha of radio.
Hi, this is Lotus. Join me every Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on REV-UP St. Lucia for Unrestricted. What we don't talk about, what we should talk about, and what we will be talking about. Don't forget to join me every Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on REV-UP St. Lucia for Unrestricted.
It's now time for Unrestricted, hosted by the gorgeous Lotus.
Good morning. Good morning, Andre. Thank you.
Morning to you.
Let's say something,
Yeah, I always say something nice.
Yes. Thank you, Andre.
He's a gentleman.
Yes, he is. Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
How are you?
I'm very well, Andre. What about you?
I'm well. I see you have your
Yes, I have a
handsome son.
Yes,
How
I
are
have a
you?
Next
guest
to you?
this morning. I have a guest this morning. The son.
Yes. Good.
Just shy.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, all to all the listeners on the radio as well as watching us on Facebook. I hope you all are having a wonderful morning.
Yes.
I'm very happy to be back here. Yes.
Thank you for
To
coming.
be in the presence of Andre Paul is always a blessing. You have to take that seriously.
Are you ignoring your mom?
And my mom. Yes,
You know. What's that about? Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Unrestricted. Welcome to YouTube, X, Facebook, the Diaspora, Radioland, everyone. Welcome back. I hope you enjoy our show this morning. And I'm happy to have Jashai in with us to help us unpack this bag. And Andre, as usual, welcome back. Okay, Andre, this morning we're going to be talking about shrinking oneself to fit in. Shrinking yourself or oneself to fit in. And Andre, what does that mean? Many of us, sometimes we find ourselves in environments or relationships or, organizations where we're too much. We're told that we're too much. Even in a classroom, a teacher will say, shut up, you know too much or you're talking too much. And most times when these things start to happen to us from children, we begin to shrink to fit into organizations or into spaces just to accommodate the space, or to make others feel big. So we have to make ourselves feel small. And so this morning, that's what we're going to be talking about.
Is that what the phrase "clipping your wings" mean?
Well, no, because
clip your wings.
because if somebody clips your wings, they victimize you. It's been done to you.
Opportunities and such.
It's been done to you. But shrinking yourself is you now receiving or making yourself smaller.
Okay, I get you.
So accepting what is being told to you and then making yourself smaller in the space.
So in other words, you're clipping your own wings.
You clipping your yes to accommodate and to fit in.
Now that's huge.
That's a big one, Andrew.
That's
because
huge.
I thought about it and I said to myself, I don't think that's something we talk about, but I've heard many people speak of that situation, and we will see in the research how it's really detrimental to the person to do that.
Let me just tease you a little here. I was just thinking as you were explaining, right? Let me just ask you if that applies. There's this war taking place there between Iran, the US, and Israel, right?
Yes.
Okay. And Donald Trump has started this war, and he believes that all his friends must rally around him. That would include England and Spain. Okay? So the British Prime Minister says he doesn't want to get involved. Donald Trump has an issue with that.
Of course.
So guess what? He cannot give in, right, because of the pressure. Then you have the Spanish Prime Minister. He's saying, well, if you don't allow me to allow our planes to come into your country so we can attack Iran, well, we're not going to trade with you. Now, the Spanish Prime Minister said, forget it, you can go about your business. I don't care. So is that a form of when I say trying to fit in, like in the case of the British Prime Minister, when you kind of caving in to the pressure and it's not right, what they're asking you to do, but you see, just to accommodate.
It's more of like I think it would be more of like just, what is it? Like being what they call a pick me, in terms of just trying to appease the next person, rather than you know it's not right, but you still want to make good with them because of something that you might want from them.
Could be a friend.
Yeah,
But they're asking you to do something it's not right.
Is it really a friend if they're asking you to do something that's not right?
But it's
If they
bullying
know
as
it's not
well.
right. It's bullying. It's a lot of
That's
things.
what
It's a
it
lot of
is.
things.
So
Yeah.
if you are being bullied and you cave in because of the bullying, like Jeshai said,
Or you shrink, as you were saying a while ago.
well, not necessarily shrinking, but giving in to a bully. You being forced. Shrinking in is you kind of indirectly being forced, so to speak, but it's your own lack of strength
Self-confidence
and self-confidence.
and such. Yeah.
So you and wanting to belong, wanting to be part of. I don't think the British Prime Minister wants to be part of. He's being bullied into
being a part of
and
that. Yeah.
because of other things, like Jeshai was saying, the pressures of whether the benefits of or losing
Trade.
or having sanctions placed and these sort of things.
Okay.
So yeah, it's sort
Slightly
of different.
different, yeah?
Mhm.
Okay.
It's different. So shrinking yourself to fit into environments, relationships, or social circles that were not designed for you is a form of self-suppression that often acts as a survival mechanism driven by fear of rejection or conflict. So Katarzyna Portka from The Medium, she said, the other day she tried squeezing into a jacket that just didn't fit. She knew it didn't fit. The shoulders were too tight, the arms stuck like she was doing the robot dance, but she still stood there in the fitting room, yanking and twisting and trying to make it work. Why? Because for some twisted part of, for some reason, some twisted part of her brain thought that the problem was her and not the jacket. The funny thing is that she's done this outside the fitting room as well. She's swallowed her opinions to avoid conflict, softened her personality to make others comfortable. Also, she can fit in. And basically, that's what we're talking about. Trying to fit in spaces that, were not meant for you, but you want to fit in anyway because you want to belong, the fear of being rejected, or you just, so it is all exhausting, right? And in fact, no, she's saying it's not just exhausting, it is soul-sucking. The lie they teach you early is that it starts young. You are told to be nice, play along, don't make a scene, so we learn to make ourselves easy to handle and people will like us, so that people will like us. Fast forward a few decades and you're in meetings agreeing with ideas, that's trash because you don't want to rock the boat. Or in relationships where you suppress your real needs because you're scared. You get so good at being agreeable, you forget how to be yourself. But no one tells us what's at stake. You lose your spark, your weirdness, you lose the very thing that makes people fall in love with you in the first place. Shrinking doesn't protect you, it erases you.
That is true.
Right? So, I mean,
That is true.
you see what I'm saying?
Being myself entails of annoying my loved ones. It entails of sometimes being goofy, being energetic and such like that. But if I'm in a place where I'm supposed to suppress that, then who am I? It takes away from your genuine self. So that's what I think Lotus was saying pertaining to the shrinking aspect of things. So a lot as well in society where we're told that certain things are not socially acceptable. So we have a lot of young people, they don't find it normal to be certain ways and such like that, so they kind of depart from that, but then they have to remember that that's what makes them them. So yeah. I mean, I had a classmate who people thought was very strange and such like that, because he didn't do the normal things that other children would do in terms of like maybe like having a cursing, kind of things that were not regular to him. So he got labeled as weird and a misfit and such like that. So yeah.
And that's the thing. And even not necessarily just misfits, but you being yourself in terms of just, like you say, whether you're a weird person, you're very intelligent, there's a particular light about you, there's a spark about you, you walk into the room and everybody wants to talk to you, or you always have an opinion, and sometimes people say to you, you're talking too much, you have too much to say. And so you begin to look into yourself and decide, okay, if I want to be part of that crowd, I want to be considered, I have to change myself. And so you begin to fall back to the back of the class. If you're telling a child that she's too much, she knows too much, she talks too much, she laughs too much, she's too funny, then that child begins to assess, okay, what do I need to do to fit in and not be rejected? So then you begin to fade to the back of the class. Next thing you know, you do not hear that child anymore. That child becomes silent. That child begins to ask his or herself, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe that's and that's what they're saying. It begins to really erase you of your own identity, and you begin to lose yourself when you begin to shrink for other people. Especially sometimes in groups, you could be in a group and people feel you have too much to say, so you begin to get quiet. Maybe in an organization, you're working somewhere and you realize you could add value, but when you begin to speak or you begin to share, someone begins to shun you or tell you, what you're saying is not important, and then you begin to hold your opinions to yourself. You don't, communicate, or you don't add to the conversation. And this is saying, it's why do we do this? And they're saying it's fear. Shrinking is a survival mechanism. It's fear dressed up as self-preservation. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of being labeled difficult or arrogant or weird. How many times when somebody stands up to themselves, or even, maybe answer back, have something to say, people say you are difficult.
What if you are difficult?
Well, the thing about it is that, of course, we always talk about balance. If your attributes, I believe, that's just my opinion, if your personal attributes or the person you are in terms of your personality, the things you're doing, it hurts other people, then that's not shrinking in terms of trying to be, that you always have to be yourself. You have to be self-aware. So if you are hurting people, generally, Andre, I mean, you go into a room and you're always hurting people, are always sad when you're there because you're talking them down to them, or you're treating them badly, and you are difficult, then that's not shrinking yourself. That's a different problem. Shrinking yourself is losing yourself in just your authentic self because you want to fit in. You want to fit into the crowd. You want to make sure people like you.
But your authentic self could be obnoxious. That's your authentic self.
No, I don't think people's authentic selves is obnoxious, Andre. I think because we always have, for instance, we have trauma, we have things that happen to us that make us, that cause us to behave certain ways. And if we embrace those ways, it doesn't mean that your authentic self is obnoxious. Based on what you have gone through or based on what you're experiencing, you decide to behave a particular way, right? Do you get that?
Yes, for sure. But I think also what Andre is saying is that, what if the person themselves, like being themselves, is obnoxious? Because there are certain people who always have a rebuttal for everything. They it's very hard to work with them. It's very hard for them to take correction, and they kind of label everything as them being shut down or told to shrink. So what do you do then in that situation?
What I'm saying is that it would be common to every environment that they're in. So that becomes the problem. You see what I'm saying?
So then it becomes less of them being...
Less of them shrinking, but more of them in imposing or inflicting some kind of instability in every environment that they are in.
I see.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if you're somebody who works somewhere, and if I call 6 of your past jobs and everybody says the same thing about you, then it may be it is an opportunity to take a look at whether or not that is adding value or not.
Or not, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now somebody says, well, that person is always late. That person is always late. So you cannot just say, well, it's my personality to be late.
Yeah.
Because being late takes away, it's a disadvantage. But I'm talking about if you're just being yourself, you can sing well, you're a happy person, you add value to the space, you know, a positive attitude you're giving, and you're just being yourself, but somebody feels you should not be speaking. They find your light is too bright. They find when you come into the space, you add in too much, people gravitate to you. There are people who are magnets.
I think that's just jealousy, you know, bundle up into everything. Jealousy, people have their own personal traumas they deal with every day. So they themselves find it strange. Why are you so happy? Was so happy in the world for you to be so happy?
But the thing we're talking about is that if you accept that or you receive that, you begin to shrink. You begin to shrink yourself. You begin to stay silent. And so what this is saying is that you try to be the right amount of everything. Not too opinionated, not too loud, not too ambitious. And from Psychology Today by Bruce Wiley, he was talking about this may seem okay to do here, but less playing small too often over time can lead to some big problems. And so we're going to look at some of the problems that it can lead to if you begin to play small, right? You want to be small in any group that you are in. Problem number 1 is that you won't get what you really want. If you don't show others your true insights, your abilities and skills, they may not even know that you are qualified for a promotion or a position or a relationship. Without making it clear that you want something, others may not know that you want it. So in the immortal words of the Spice Girls, tell them what you want, what you really, really want. You have to tell people what you really, really want. So they're saying if you start to shrink, then they don't know your abilities. They don't know how much you know because you have been silent. You're going to stay quiet. Me, I'm not going to say anything. Me, I'm not going to add anything to this conversation because somebody might shut me up. So basically, one of the problems is that they're saying you will not get what you really want, right? And then the next problem is that they're saying you waste time being with the wrong people. Do you really want to be around people who are too insecure or inflexible to deal with the real you? For some people, sharing center stage can, in their mind, be akin to sharing a shower when there's limited water and only 1 bar of soap. So they don't want to feel exposed while battling with you for what they perceive to be limited resources. Or maybe they have a stereotype about you being more submissive simply because of your race, your ethnicity, your gender, your sex, physical appearance, or whatever superficial attribute that you may exhibit. So talking about you waste time being with the wrong people. You now, as some people stereotype you before they see you. They figure, okay, you're Chinese, so you may be a particular way. And so they've already told themselves, this person is coming and this is what we're going to get. And so because you now have that fear of even opening up, or they've made you feel that way, you begin to shrink in the back and you don't say anything and you are with the wrong people in the first place. Because what this is saying basically, if you are with the right people, you will not have to shrink.
For sure.
If you have the right friends,
add to your light.
They will add to your light. They will encourage you to be yourself, Andre. If you're with the wrong people, I mean, you would not know, you will not be able to exercise your authentic self. You will want to keep quiet all the time. If somebody is hushing you every 2 minutes, you're with the wrong people who do not want you to add value to the group. So you begin to shrink, and you end up staying quiet. You don't have much to say. And so they're saying one of the problems is that you end up being with the wrong people if you continue to shrink your light and don't say anything at the end of the day. Why waste your time around such people? In fact, being your true self can be a great litmus test to determine who deserves the real you. If they end up being too intimidated, then it's probably not a good match. And basically that's what we were saying. Sometimes you end up having a group of friends that you had for a while, maybe from a little girl, you hanging out with these people, and they make you believe you're a particular way. You're making everybody laugh, you're having fun with everybody, and all of a sudden they're telling you, oh, you're talking too much, or you're too funny. Everybody wants to ask for you. Sometimes you're in the group, and maybe you did not come to an activity, and everybody wants to know, where are you? Why isn't Andre there? And some other person is upset that why are you asking for Andre? You know what I mean? So it's almost like it's a problem that Andre is the life of the party, or Andre has a particular light that people like. And so Andre himself begins to go into his shell. He doesn't want to be, he doesn't want to open his mouth. He doesn't want to be too loud. He doesn't want to be too funny, because people are complaining about the fact that he's too much. Andrea, it's you thinking.
Yes,
what are you thinking
I'm still struggling.
You're still struggling?
With this authentic self issue.
Yes.
I know you tried to explain, and I know you moved on already. I'm still.
We can come back to it if you're not sure,
I'm not,
or if you have a question. Cultivate your question and let
because look at the scenario you just painted there. There's some people who are looking forward to this individual because of who they are,
exactly.
their authentic self.
Yes.
However, there's this one person or two or three who figure, well, as you said a while ago, why must Andre be there, or why do you have to miss Andre? Because to me, he's he's not a nice guy, for example, right? But that so who really is the problem? Because if you're your authentic self, and there's some people who like your authentic self, why do you need to change it because of one or two people who may not like it?
Because of the fear of being rejected. Remember, one of the things we said first and foremost is that a lot of us are full of fear. We do not want to be. We want to be liked, Andre. We want to be liked by everybody, and it could only be one person who's saying that we're this and that. We want to be liked.
And
so
sometimes we're trying to
yes,
we're trying to appeal to the one person that doesn't like us.
That doesn't like us.
So we try to act a certain way or move a certain way, just in the hopes of getting in good graces with that one person that doesn't like us.
Bingo, exactly that.
So
exactly that. So even though there may be 3 or 4 people that like you, and that one person, and that person maybe have influence in the group, or maybe is somebody that nobody wants to step to, and that person doesn't like you, Andre. You now trying to impress that person,
Okay.
and so now you begin to shrink yourself.
Okay. Now I get it.
You get it? So now you begin to say, me, I will not add any, I will not do that too much, I will not be this. And you start to edit yourself. In the research, that's what you're saying, is start to, filter your words, edit yourself. You are so conscious of not being yourself. Now you start chipping away at your personality and who you are, and you begin to turn into somebody else.
Powerful stuff,
You want to share the numbers, Andre?
Sure.
So that our callers can tell us if they have to shrink themselves.
Yeah. Okay. The fixed line is 572-9710. 572-9710. That's the fixed line. Or the WhatsApp platform, it is 287-0971. WhatsApp is 287-0971. So, if I understand you correctly, you're saying there are people who are aware of all these gifts that you have, these wonderful gifts and attributes and so on, and they love you and appreciate you for those things. However, there's some, could be a minority,
It could be a minority.
and we're allowing now the minority to so destabilize us that we figure as though, hey, that one person, it's like, okay, let me give an example. Sometimes I'm doing my show and I get compliments and everything. Everything is fine. sometimes just that one person says something really off.
Yeah.
And that exactly
it just
that.
spoils it, you know.
Exactly.
So I allow it to spoil my day, kind of thing.
You allow it
Yeah.
to spoil your day.
And next thing you know,
And-
you're unconsciously looking at what the person is saying to adjust yourself.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And that's despite all the compliments and everything. Huh?
Despite it, and it
Yeah.
could be, yes, and
Yeah.
it could be, and even sometimes you might be in an environment, or again in a relationship with somebody who wants you to be less of yourself, and you begin not to say much because you want to keep the peace. I mean, it's your boyfriend or your girlfriend who find that too many people like you. You're in an environment, maybe you're a musician.
If you're in that kind of environment, you should get out, because there should be no reason why you're stopping your girlfriend or your boyfriend from shining as bright as they can shine.
Yeah, but it's easier said than done. How many relationships, I'm sure our listeners will tell you, how many, it's more common than not, where you're in a relationship with someone and you have to dim your light because you have too much attention on you. There's too much attention around you.
Or you outshining them.
Of course, that's what I'm saying.
Far by miles. Okay.
And so
One time I remember
they make you feel guilty.
Now I tell you, I understand where you're going, Lotus. I remember one time I was dating this lady and she said to me, "You think you know everything."
That's how it starts.
Yeah. You think you know everything. And I remember saying to myself, boy, oh boy, maybe for true, maybe I'm going a little extreme.
Strike number one. You
Yeah,
see, so
maybe
you
I'm a little
start to second guess yourself.
I'm saying, well, okay, well, I need to pull back.
You need to pull back.
Because I said, well, the fact that she said that to me, maybe other people feel the same way too.
That's what I'm saying, and that's where you begin to chip at your own self. So you begin to put the lights off one by one, right? And so that's one of the problems. That's as we get into the problems. That's what we're talking about. You won't really grow as a person if you tell yourself those things. You will not grow as a person. The words "make yourself smaller and grow," it doesn't really go together, right? These two things don't go together. You cannot make yourself smaller yet you're trying to grow.
Yeah.
You have a call? Yes. Okay, this is Unrestricted, live on REV-UP St. Lucia.
Good morning. Welcome to Unrestricted. How may I help you?
Good morning. Good morning, Lotus. Good morning to your guests.
Good
morning,
morning.
Andre. How are you doing, my friend? How are you doing, St. Lucia? REV-UP St. Lucia is live, up and running. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yes, hi. Thanks a lot for calling, Anthony.
Yes.
How are you folks doing today?
Doing good.
Well,
doing
thanks.
good. How
What about
yourself?
you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. I thought you would ask. In spite of the gray skies, I'm above grounds and the mountains are leaving. I'm good.
I'm glad.
Some people didn't make it, unfortunately.
That's true.
Anyway, let's be grateful for life, people. Let me share a little sentiment on the subject. Great show, as always. Great show.
Thank you.
REV-UP is going places.
Thank you.
Let me tell you. You're welcome. Let me tell you. There's a place I went. The place is not important. And I went for an interview with my better half and I. And guess what? The lady that is interviewing us shared a little story with us. And she said that she had to abort her relationship because the boyfriend she had at the time dressing better than her and always looking fresh, always looking good. And I seriously, it's like, wow, are you serious? She said, yeah. I mean, every time the man is like, so probably the man she needed to nominate him for best dress or something, But that didn't go well with Madam, because Madam is saying to herself, I'm the woman here and you always overpowering. So, Lotus, I see where you're coming from. And that's a very good subject. And we have to look into within ourselves and even the friends that are around us. Sometimes you need to empower them and even give them some consolation and, some pep talk. Because Andre, even when we drive in, we know this conversation that we just have very healthy and let me tell you something, I just look forward to it. Trust me. And
Me
let
as
me
well.
tell you. Of course, thank you. And what I learned from this lady, it's like she wouldn't have it. And I don't think that's a nice thing. You cannot let something like that ruin your relationship.
Yes.
That is not good enough. You have to think outside of the box. And Lotus, I know you and the panel right there will agree with me that it's always, to me, that guy looking good. It's like personal, appreciation, and it's like also personal hygiene, because if he's always groomed, always looking well, or for sure he'll brush his teeth, for sure he'll floss, for sure, because he looks good. But probably, I think it was more than that. Probably she didn't want to shake. I believe probably the attention probably he was getting out there. All that could be. Because if he's looking well and he always dress well, that shouldn't be something like a competition for you.
Exactly.
You should look outside of the box and say, listen, one thing, my guy, boy, he's always looking fresh and looking good. Because some of us men, trust me, I don't want to be no woman. Because some of us real looking lapo. We have our beard when we eat. It's like everybody knows we eat, because the all around our mouths, it's like our lips is like, damn. And even sometimes when they come and groom themselves, you would hear, they would say, you see, if it wasn't for my wife or my girlfriend, guys, I even cut in my hair, guys. I'm saying to myself, but are these people serious?
Yeah.
The ladies always do that, religiously take care of themselves, and it costs more. It costs more, $100 and something to do your hair. And the most you could spend to cut your hair is like $40 or $45. And you mean to tell me you actually saying this? So what? I supposed to feel good that you saying these things? I just shake my head sometimes, because even some wives and some husbands would come and say, listen, how much for the haircut? Okay, look, go and cut your hair. You look like a V-neck, you look like a zombie. And I just find that, to me, they go into the extreme. They're not supposed to be saying these things to their boyfriend or their husband. That is not nice.
Yeah,
now, since I say that, let me just detour just a bit. Lotus, let me ask you. I feel it is not right, but this is the say, as in saying, oh, my girlfriend or my boyfriend. I'll tell you why. Because we all was boys and girls, right? We play with toys. We put toys away, as Andre always say, and I agree to that, that we grown. So we're supposed to have more, I would say, wisdom and, looking as we more mature, thinking, supposed to be. And then for you to say, oh, my girlfriend or my boyfriend, because we're not girls, we're not boys. And I'm going there is because, Lotus, you heard it. When men and women break up, you know what you heard? Oh, that boy, like they're stressing on it, like he's a boy. Because once I tell somebody, but why you call, but he's a boy is, it's like, wow. Why so much vengeance? Why so much anger? It's like you are the relationship. So, a boy, but a boy is a boy. So I just find, to me, that boy thing, it is not a right thing. Okay? Because we are men and women. Because a girl is a girl. We could. I have a girl. I have a woman. Okay? That woman cannot be a girl when things go wrong. Oh, that girl. Or sometimes we use the B word. You understand? That is not nice. So I just find I should share some and just detour a bit to share something with you.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
That was very insightful. Very insightful caller. We do appreciate you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. But he's right. We should not
And that's
go to these extremes, or wait for our partner to tell us to cut our hair or fix your shirt or whatever the case may be. Me personally, I like to look good. I like to smell good, and my girlfriend as well. She's the same. So we like to feed off of each other's energy. If she's looking good, I'm looking good. I'm looking good, she's looking good. We,
So when she's looking bad, you're looking bad.
Yes, we feed off each other.
But I was only kidding. The thing about it is that it's more common than we know in relationships, in our environments, where people are just they feel the need to make themselves small in the in their relationships.
You have
or
two
their
callers
friendships.
on hold. Yes. So
Hello?
let's go to the first one.
Hello?
Hello, good morning. Welcome
Hello,
to
good morning,
Unrestricted.
Lotus, and good morning, Andre.
Good morning.
Morning
And
to
is
you.
that your son there too, Lotus?
Hi,
Yes.
good morning.
Yes,
morning.
good morning to you also.
His name is Joshai.
Just shy.
Just
Yes.
shy. Thank you.
Eh,
Yes,
what a
morning.
name.
How do you spell it, Joshai?
JUSSHY.
Oh, all
Just
right.
shy.
It's
Spell it
not
correctly.
JUST.
No, not JUST. It's JUSSHY.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Andre.
Me you addressing?
Yes, Andre.
Yes,
You've always known me to be an outspoken person, right?
definitely. Yes,
Okay. I've observed that sometimes when somebody observes that you are outspoken and you are willing to speak out when you have to, sometimes they end up having things in their throats. And they Now, I've noticed it happening to other persons. And one day, a good friend, tried it on me. Boy, Andre, that's when I talk more. Andre, that's when I use the best of my articulation. That is when I felt the greatest, Andre, because I was really getting her attention. I think when they do that, a lot of persons do that. They want to derail you, get you off track, so they... Well, Andre, that's when I'm going to do it even more. And so sometimes we put down people who are able to contribute by doing things like that. Especially if we notice that the person stammers in, or stops or may not read like everybody else, or they would do certain things with their throats so that you would know that no, that's when you try your best.
Yes.
You try your best. Don't let them derail you.
Exactly.
And strange enough, Andre, it's your friends that will do that,
Yeah, because they're closest to you.
Yes.
They know.
They're more comfortable.
Your friends that will do that.
Yeah.
So even when you get that feeling, persevere, move on, do better, improve, because whatever you do is, once it is uplifting and it's not putting anybody down, continue. You know,
right.
Andre?
Yes.
So have a good day, Andre.
You forgetting we have the hostess of the show there. You completely ignoring Lotus.
Who's that?
I said you're completely ignoring Lotus. She's the host
Oh my
of the show.
goodness, Lotus, sorry. And Lotus, let me tell you something before I go. You always choose good topics. Topics that, there are days when you have a topic, nobody not calling you. Do you know it's a lot of the times it's because it falls in our plate. So we ain't calling you, we ain't talking, we not saying nothing. We just letting you talk. You understand? That you always have very good topics.
Thank
and Andre, you and Andre, you'll complement each other, which is very good. That doesn't mean to get married, but you're all very good in speaking with each other.
Thank you.
And well, just
Just
shy,
shy, yes.
you coming up. Okay?
Thank you
So,
so
Andre,
much. I appreciate
one of the things I want to tell persons, when other persons are trying to intimidate you as you speak, get bolder. Get bolder. Don't let them put you down.
Exactly.
Get bolder. Because, and another thing too, if they feel that you're not as attractive as them, or you don't wear you don't wear clothes like them, no, the best thing that you can have is your character, is your goodness, is
right.
you. So put it out, uplift, and speak and articulate, and let them hear that you are doing good. You understand, Andre?
Well said.
And Lotus,
Thank
and
you.
just
Thank you.
Okay,
so
Lotus.
have a good day.
Thank you. You as well.
Bye-bye.
You as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
You have somebody else on the line, Lotus.
Yes, good morning. Welcome to Unrestricted.
Hey, good morning, Andre. Good morning, Lotus.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good
to you.
morning, my dear friend.
Good morning, Andre. Good morning, Jeshai.
Morning. How are you?
I'm okay, fine, thank you.
That's good.
Okay. Thanks for accepting my call.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Lotus, you see, some people, especially those close to you, they mistaken, or I can say they misinterpret your confidence and your brilliance as arrogant
Yeah.
and show off. You see, now that causes some people to shrink,
Yes.
to please those around you. Now, brilliant sees brilliant, and brilliant follows brilliant, just like confident. Now, if you look around and you see, hey, I'm among those people there, they figure I'm arrogant, I'm show off, I might go where I see somebody is brilliant and was confident in his or herself. But you sometimes have to say to yourself, well, if I go there and I express my brilliant and confident, will I be treated just like how I was treated by those people who didn't see my brilliance? So you find yourself sometimes trapped there and you don't want to express yourself. I mean, that's why you end up shrinking instead. You understand? So it's a little.
And as you correctly said, we don't want to appear arrogant.
You're right.
Yeah.
But you are confident, and some people see you arrogant. Yeah. You appear brilliant, and some people see you like a show off.
Exactly.
So this is what I have to say. But yeah, it's a line. Sometimes you like pleasing people, and you don't want to.
You're trying to navigate.
Hurt people feeling. It's a little thing. It's a little razor edge there to navigate, my dear. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Both callers hit it on the head. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, for sure.
And you find yourself, he's right, because, you know, a lot of times when people have a light or they're really bright, people say to them, they're so arrogant, they're so this, they're so that. And one of the things that the caller previously said, sometimes if they are more attractive than you physically, but yet you get more attention than them because of your spirit, you find that you have to shrink yourself to accommodate and to please. And that's what we're talking about. Because to do those things, it really changes who you are. It can be tiring. You can feel constipated, like you have things to say, but you're not going to say it. Or you can add to something, add value to an environment, but you will not say it because you don't want to be seen as arrogant. You don't want to be seen as the know-it-all. You know, like Andre, your ex who told you, you think you know everything.
And I really had to pull back.
Yes,
for true.
and you
I
start
really
to
did that.
pull back.
And then you start losing part of yourself.
And you lose the sense of your true self.
Is that the next thing?
Yes, here's the thing about it's like too tight underwear. Over time, you may get used to it. Similarly, when you are always playing a smaller role, you may end up adopting a persona and forgetting who you truly are. So you have been acting out so long, trying to fit in for so long, you eventually turn into somebody else.
That's
you,
true.
You don't even remember who you are anymore. You don't even remember how your gifts are so potent because you want to please everybody. So you start to downplay yourself.
Because I remember being around her after that, after she said that to me, after I said, maybe I should pull back. And it was like a fire inside of me.
Yes, you constipated.
And I'm holding this thing.
You have to hold it. and you lose, it says that you lose self, you lose your confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
When you forget who you truly are, you can start buying into what others think of you. Actually, you become smaller, you lose confidence in yourself and end up doing less in life. This is a case where you don't wear too tight underwear, but the too tight underwear wears you. It wears you down. So you really start to shut down. And you really begin to get so quiet, so silent. The caller before the last was, she's bold and she's, confident. And some of us are able to get through it because when you understand who you are, you are self-aware, you know that you should not shrink for anybody.
Exactly,
but not all of us believe that. Not all of us believe that. Many of us, we shrink and we get very small and we get so silent that we just exist in another universe, another persona, like we have a totally different character. And that's what we're talking about.
But Lotus, what advice do you have for, those kinds of people, right, as you're describing? They have a lot of information, a lot of, knowledge, etc., and for a lot of them, they feel like they need to express themselves and to share the knowledge. I remember one time I did an interview with former Prime Minister Dr. Kenny Anthony. I've never forgotten that interview, because during the interview, I remember I brought up this issue about people saying that he was beginning to become arrogant, and he said to me he's been searching himself to, and trying to find out what it is that he's doing that would give that impression. So how do we balance that now? The people who are really, as you said, they have a lot to offer and so on. How do they balance to ensure that they don't come off as arrogant?
Well, the thing is, you want to take that?
Go ahead.
The thing about arrogance is that you have the meaning of arrogance, you have the meaning of humility, you have the meaning of respect, you have the meaning of not trying to hurt others. That all these things you have to look at as well, Andrew, because the thing about people is that when you are brilliant and they're not, they will use words that does not describe your attribute accurately.
Yes.
So yes, they would call him arrogant. Yes, they would say this, that, and yes, he would search himself, because that's where the shrinking starts. Two things. You legitimately search yourself because you do not want to offend people
Yes.
intentionally. Yeah?
All right, okay.
You do not want to hurt someone intentionally. So you begin to search yourself and say, am I hurting X and Y when I say this? So that's one thing. However, if you search yourself and you see that you're not hurting anybody, you're not,
Like if you if you're constantly doing cross-referencing and asking
Yes.
people, so am I arrogant? Do you find me arrogant? And you're getting, no, I don't find you arrogant or anything like that. But there's always this one person who always has something to say. It's generally a problem with that one person.
Oh, yes.
It's an internal thing with that one person. People try to use all kind of terms when they are also wrong about things.
Yes.
Or wrong about you. They try to make you look as though you're this arrogant person. You're diabolical when you're not.
And sometimes you're the only person in a group that is the one who knows for real, but the others feel small that and so they will flip the script on you and to make you feel small. And you get that a lot, and that's why you said, what can people do? I think a lot of times one of the things that the research is saying is that you have to find your tribe. Find the people who appreciate who you are, so that you don't have to change yourself to suit. You have to find the people like minds. That's why they say birds of a feather flock together. If you with a group that is really myopic in their thinking, they always have to tell you something. You always know they don't want to have the conversation. If you want to talk about economic instability, they don't want to talk to. Find people who want to talk about that. They are like minds, and I think sometimes because we want to please certain people, we end up staying in the groups that make us small.
That's true what you're saying there about finding, the right group and so on.
Yes.
Yeah, because when this lady left me, I was like, I can breathe again.
Yes,
you feel
because if you
like
have
you're
to
free.
stay in that environment, you also become very resentful. Speaking of being worn down, resentment can result, and not just for the people keeping you small, but for everyone in society in general. And you become resentful of yourself for not standing up for yourself. You start to resent yourself for being quiet, for getting so silent, for not adding your 2 cents to a discussion, for not standing up to your boss who asked you a question and you had to be honest, and you shrunk yourself so much that you end up siding with the person just to keep the peace.
Yes. You have a caller?
I do.
Yes, you do.
Yes, morning.
Okay.
Hello. Morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, morning.
Welcome to
All
Unrestricted.
unusual names except for Andre.
Pardon?
Beg your pardon?
Yes, unusual names, Lotus and just Shy.
Yes.
Oh,
Except for
That's
Andre,
true, that's
who
true.
is, regular name,
Yes.
regular guy. So I just wanted to add my piece to the morning discussion, even in relationships between, husband and wife.
Yes.
Sometimes one has to shrink themselves. Sometimes it could be the more dominant person, could believe it or not, sometimes could be the woman, and in most cases the men, because we see it all the time. Women who had all their zest and energies, and they look well and they walk the street, and all of a sudden they started dating this guy, and all of a sudden, the attitude has changed. They're expected to be more subservient in the relationship and not as dominant as as they used to be. They've lost it and shrunk themselves just to be able to satisfy the other party.
Yes.
And so that's also very, very present in many homes
That's right.
in St. Lucia today. Yeah. So my piece.
Thank you
Okay,
so much.
thank you.
That's critical
Bye-bye.
because this is what reshapes a lot of children, a lot of young children, and a lot of teenagers who even sometimes their parents will realize that this child has a special light, and because this child is getting all the attention, they try to get the child to calm down, shrink. I have another call.
Yes, we do.
Hi,
Hello, good morning. Welcome to Unrestricted.
Thank you. I just like to say sometimes people take people's self-confidence as arrogance. Too many times they mistake these things because there are people, they're just naturally brilliant, and then they exude that in their confidence, and yet sometimes if we are not then we find all kinds of things to say about them because, they think they are this, they think they are that. But sometimes you have to learn to respect people that have some, because as a child growing up, and sometimes I find some of this starts very young. Because I remember growing up in school, sometimes the teachers can break. Some teachers can make you feel low than you think. Because the way when you try to speak or you put up your hand or you say something, sometimes just the way they treat you, that is why, as someone who works with young children and being in school and saying sometimes how hard they can be, and sometimes they can make you feel a little low that you don't even want to talk. You want to just remain quiet. You don't want to say anything. And that's why, as a teacher, when I was working in those years, I always look for those children that just would be afraid to talk. You can see they smart. You can see when you watch them work and you see things, you can see how much but the only thing is that they would not speak. They would not talk. You ask them a question, they would bend down their head, they would shy away. So I always was very, very, I would say, like, these are the trend. I would just wanted to be around to build their self-confidence. Because sometimes as young people and young children, we break people's confidence very, very early. And then sometimes, and that's what when I hear people say about people, and then when you do gain that self-confidence and you come out now and you can speak and you can stand up and speak, then they say, hey, but who is he or she? And then they start calling you all kinds of names. They kind of say something you think you didn't eat now and everything. But they're not realizing sometimes when you have gained that self-confidence and able to stand up and speak and even advocate or same thing, is you have realized that you are strong enough and able to express yourself as any other person. I think we have to learn to accept those things.
Before you run away, remember what had happened to you a few years ago when you called a particular radio station?
Oh, yes. I was torn apart.
That's exactly what they tried doing to her.
I was torn apart, but it didn't deter me. I still called back.
Yes, I
and
heard
I kept on calling. And I stood up to everybody.
And I think it was a bunch of men, right?
And the people that really taught me the most were women.
Oh, wow. Man.
Women that called me. People that did not even know me. They call me all sorts of, think I know more than anything. And I think I wasn't pretending I know more than anybody. I just like to advocate and speak out because growing up as a child, I could not do it. So since I have the confidence to speak out and speak on, especially for what I love, which is children, people, speaking out here. And then, I was really made to feel, but I did not let that deter me, and it never stopped me.
That's right. Thank you so much.
It's their loss that they could not understand your brilliance.
That's right.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
You see, that was a really good contribution.
Yes,
and she spoke of, and that's the thing, people just, they don't realize how they break others when you continue to ask people to shrink themselves.
But don't you think sometimes that's done deliberately as well?
Of course, it's done deliberately.
For sure.
But then the person it's a reflection of the person who they themselves they are not confident. They don't have the amount of smarts you have. They cannot sing like you. They cannot, they have the issues. But you, when you internalize it, you now have a stunted career growth, right? You don't speak. By deeming your strengths, avoiding risk, and not voicing your ideas, you limit your career advancement and fail to get the recognition you deserve. And what happens as well, one of the biggest things I've seen in that is the shallow connections that we stay in. When you're not authentic and the relationships you form are built on performance rather than your actual personality, this leads to a feeling of being lonely in a crowd. So imagine that you have to shrink yourself. You have a shallow connection in that group. It's not an authentic connection. They're just laughing with you and happy to have you there because you are a conformist. So you become a chameleon because you have to sort of, and there's nothing wrong with having balance, I believe, and understanding that there's a time and place for everything, but that's separate from being you. When you have to now change who you are to suit, you become, your connections are so shallow, Andre. Your connections are not authentic. They're not real. People are not liking you for who you really are. They're liking you because you are a shell and because you accept what's going on around you, right?
Yeah.
So you become to become part of the clique, you have to augment who you are. And that's what I think we were trying to discuss, that these things actually affect your physical health. It also says that it affects your physical health, because some people become depressed. They get, they are anxious, because if they're going to be in a particular crowd or a particular group,
They have to be a certain
way, so they have to adjust themselves. So it actually causes them to be, unhealthy. And these are the kind of things we want to try to avoid. So making yourself smaller means repressing your true personality, your thoughts, your desires, and yourself around others. You may make yourself smaller to avoid intimidating others or to meet some stereotype of you. Constantly having to make yourself smaller can have an array of negative consequences in your life, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Shrinking yourself does not guarantee safety. It does not guarantee love. It only earns you tolerance.
There's a story about this famous violinist in the U.S. He's a millionaire, okay, because when he plays, there are people who appreciate what he brings to the table. So he's rich, right? So he decided to do a little experiment. So he went into the subway station in New York and was playing there for free, right? Just doing his thing. And he noticed when he looked at the plate now, I mean, just dropping a little 10 cents, a little 25 cents for the guy, right? And at the end of the experiment, whoever it is that was conducting the experiment was saying, imagine this guy is a millionaire as a result of him being in an environment where people appreciate what he brings to the table, right? However, those people in that area, wherever he was, could not see it. They could not appreciate what he was bringing. And they just consider that to be a little dollar or something, and there are other people who pay prime dollars, to listen to him, right? Yeah. So at the end of the experiment, I think the narrator was saying, "Go where you are appreciated."
and that is a critical lesson. Yeah. I think a lot of times we are afraid to leave the people that keep us small. We want to stay because we don't want to be lonely, and we don't want to be by ourselves, because I can tell you, when you are your authentic self, your circle will diminish. You will have less friends because people are so agreeable for everything. People don't stand on their own 2 feet.
And you yourself, Lotus, you don't even feel comfortable in the environment. You don't feel comfortable.
Exactly.
You feel like you're being constrained.
So you have
you
to
want to
leave
get
it.
out.
But some of us don't want to leave it because we don't want to be alone.
And I remember I had that experience, and one of the individuals who I left the circle, he started reminded me of who I was before. He brought up some stuff that I was doing and so on, and he was, in other words, now who you think you are, right, to leave us? Let me just remind you of what you used to do with us. But it got to the point where I wasn't feeling comfortable anymore in that environment anymore. I wanted to move out.
Once you reconnect with yourself, it is important to find your tribe. Once you reconnect and you start to, it's about self-respect and less self-sabotaging, less self-betrayal, because you are betraying yourself if you cannot be yourself. If you cannot be yourself, then you are betraying yourself. So once you get that confidence to respect yourself, you will no longer want to be part of a group that tears you down, or a group that doesn't make you, happy and, be your true authentic self. So as we close, the ultimate cost of inauthenticity is a life that feels unfulfilling, unoriginal, and exhausting. If you're in an environment that requires you to shrink yourself to fit in, the most effective, albeit difficult solution is to find a new environment or outgrow the room and go where you can be your full and true self. So, Jeshai, have you had to do that at all as we close?
Pertaining to shrinking, yes, I think
we all have done it.
I've been in positions where I've had to shrink myself, and just going through the topic today, it made me realize these things, that I've been in positions of these things. But from knowing myself and knowing who I want to be, I don't think it's possible to happen.
Going forward,
yes.
So you have more self-awareness.
Yes,
more self-respect.
More self-respect.
And more respect for your gifts.
Yes.
Because this young man is very talented.
Yes. And I have to do more with my talents.
Your talents and your gifts.
Sure.
Yes. So Andre, I'm happy that we had that discussion, because now you will not want to shrink yourself at all.
Ever.
And another lesson learned this morning as well. I didn't quite understand where you were coming from, right? Although you had already left me and you're already down View Fort, and this is bothering me.
Yes.
Come back.
Yeah.
I have to pick up where you left off.
Yes.
And then I felt comfortable. I said, "Oh, okay. Now I understand what you're trying to say." The number of us again who like to fit in, and just figures, "Okay, I get it."
Yes.
You don't really get it,
and you don't get it. And that's part of your self-confidence as well, Andre. If you don't get something, you don't get it, because quite a bit of people out there, you think you're alone. Sometimes in a class, 90% of the class
That's
doesn't
true.
get it. And it's only when one person asks, everybody whispering, "Oh, I had that same concern. I had that same question."
That is true.
So we all, at some point, we all have to understand that it's a journey of learning.
Yes,
so
for
thank
sure,
you so much, guys. Thank you, Just Shy, for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you,
Thank you, Jashai, and thank you, Lotus, as always, for your
Thank you so
service.
much. You're welcome.
Thank you.
I want to say to you that you are a blessing to REV-UP.
Oh, thank you, Andre. That's so nice.
Yeah, you are.
Yes,
you are.
Yes, you are.
So thank
I
you.
am blushing.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for gracing us with your presence
Thank you
every
very much.
Wednesday.
I appreciate
All right.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Yes.
So having yourselves a nice day.
Yes, thank
Until
you.
next week, Wednesday, same time.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.